Yo. Oh, you still can't hear me quite well. I can hear myself a little bit better this morning. so, so this is today's exploration. You build your own MFA in creative writing. Build your own MFA in just creative writing, not really novel writing. Dude, why it's expensive, and you might get something out of it in 6 months. It's very accelerated because you don't have to go to class. You just sit down and work on it every day. If you don't enjoy it, then either check out an MFA program or this is just not your thing. You might be a painter. Everybody needs to work though, I think in the morning. Get a cup of coffee. You gotta work an hour or two. I like to work off of the AI. It kind of teaches me, it gives me a lot of positive feedback, does a lot of reframing. And then I pull out a notebook and do what Stephen King called longhand. Is when you just sit down and write on a piece of paper. You can put that in his book on writing. I don't want to, offend him or whatever, but it is in the book. But you build your own MFA in creative writing. It's completely doable, and honestly, it lets you bypass the crushing tuition debt while tailoring the curriculum entirely to your specific voice and projects. Traditional MFAs focus on three core pillars: rigorous reading, the canon; structured writing output, the discipline; and critical feedback in the workshop. So where are you going to get that feedback? Either through AI or you're just going to get some friends together. If you don't have friends, you're going to get some. Once you get done with this, you can guide other people through an MFA equivalent program. You're doing a DIY MFA with AI. You're gonna need something. So you're gonna have to be one of those guys. But once you get done, and let's say you are the DIY MFA person, the progenitor, the Primarch. You get the novel out of it, and you have it published and edited and published for cheap, and then let at least 10, 100, or 1,000 people read it and provide feedback. I would say you're in a good place and you enjoy it. It's fun. You're able to work at it every single morning in all three realms: reading, the writing, and the feedback. On the subject matter, not just writing about writing. Then you're able to set up an MFA equivalent program. Why not? And the ultimate challenge, you're going to charge people money to do it. $20 an hour over 2 years. So it's legitimate. The ultimate challenge for an MFA equivalent recipient is to take all your work. This is a very professional, very Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing. You take it to a legitimate school, your MFA equivalent, and say, hey, is this legitimate? And if so, what can I get now? Dirty. That's just a little vision I had for working over the next several years. And then when you don't have good students anymore, you stop. Get a job. Do your job at your job. We're talking about work right now. DIY MFA framework is you're going to have a reading list. You're going to have a writing discipline, and you're going to have a workshop where you get feedback. Now, this is something new to me. you're not just going to consume uh, literature. You want to deconstruct it. It definitely means taking your time. Did you know that taking your time is adaptation to a new environment? You have to learn different ways to take your time. You want to deconstruct the literature, so maybe 12 pillar books for the first year, maybe 12 for the second. They represent the pinnacle of what you want to achieve structurally, stylistically, or conceptually, e.g. with world building. You think Dune, D-U-N-E, for world building, would be the primary example that I know. Non-linear timelines. I remember one book I read that I don't recommend it, but it was non-linear. It was like that Markowski book. I don't remember it. High density prose. I think Melville or something. I would throw in a Cormac McCarthy book for myself. Replace that with that one lady. The one lady. You got Cormac. You got a Melville. And you know what I have to now think. I don't recommend Dubliners. The author who wrote Dubliners, I don't recommend that guy. You have to sit down and study that. But then again, it's a good example of deconstruction. It's a huge book. Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, and then he got on alcohol really bad. Don't drink when you do this. You'll write sentences such as, I took an angry shot. 4 a.m. rolled by harder than I expected, and the typewriter ended up through the wall. Stuff like that. I have written like that in the past, and I stopped drinking. I actually stopped writing too, because I didn't know how to do it. You're then going to write a lot. 10 hours of focused generative writing per week, probably in a notebook. So the lecture happens according to a screencast via AI. We read it together, skim it, some of it's like a deep dive, and then you may end up typing it into your AI and see if there are any differences, or see if there is anything specific or to you. You're going to have to build a peer network without giving away the writing. For example, you don't share the synopsis. I have a synopsis on my channel that is incomplete, it's ridiculous, it's absurd. Once you nail the synopsis of your writing, you don't show it to anybody. Why? Because they'll sit there and write the book. They will do it. That's not even opportunism. Opportunism is, let's say you're at the library and you say, hey, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I need some water right now. So you actually get up and drink the water. And you say, hey, I need to use the bathroom. You use the bathroom. That's opportunism. That's being opportunistic. There's nothing wrong with it. But then again, you've got to be coded to do such a thing. This that people will do is worse. If you write the synopsis of your book and put it out there for feedback, it shouldn't need feedback. You'll know if it's right or not. It's kind of like setting up a canvas with the right palette. You can't let people see certain things. At the same time, you're going to need a peer network with access to the instructor for your MFA equivalent. You're going to need 2 to 3 serious craft-focused writers. So we'll talk about crafting for a minute. When you're writing, especially in this manner, your sentence, crafting on the sentence level, could be putting in an active voice or making the sentence shorter or longer. There's some easy crafting methods, but also your chunk, your scene, your paragraph, or whatever. You start. I'm not going to use the word poetic. The phrasing can be switched out. Prepositional swaps, prepositional phrase swaps, and then timing, cadence, rhythm, all that stuff. You figure out ways to craft at the sentence or chunk level for that kind of thing. Because you are the headmaster of your own MFA equivalent program. You are the headmaster, and you're going to make about $20 an hour off of it. That's work, if you get paid. And you're going to need to find them. And then you're going to craft the syllabus out of all that. And okay, let's choose some books. I'm going to say the objective of my MFA equivalent is one sci-fi book. That's the objective. You might like high literature or something. You might want to do a Cormac thing with your own twist. Writing a science fiction novel requires a unique mechanical toolkit. You aren't just managing pacing and character, you're managing information density, how to build a coherent system of world without dropping a 40-page textbook on the reader's head. That's a good point for sci-fi. You have the science, then you have the science fiction, then you have the story of a character living their life, moving forward with this science fiction in play. And that's kind of a neat little thing here, because once you understand your science and the science fiction, you could, and you will, you're going to write the 40-page textbook. But that's not what the reader sees. The reader sees the novel. To make your DIY MFA highly functional, let's select 6 masterclass novels, each chosen for a specific structural masterclass. This gives you one book to deconstruct per month for a 6-month semester. The masterclass in information density and world building book, A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martin. Well, let's just look at this. Information density and world building, high concept systems and ideas, microkernel pacing and voice, structural timelines and layering, mechanical ecology and biological systems, blending genre framework. See, when you type this in, that may be totally different and unique. Use same categories for Project Gutenberg books. I'm not paying money to carry around dead trees, stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that, but I've already got a textbook in my pack. Information density and world building. We ended up getting 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. It's still relevant today. It is basically about a guy who builds his own submarine. It's not the Disney movie, but there is a Disney movie. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. High Concept Systems and Ideas. Time Machine by H.G. Wells. Yes, there's a movie too. Read the book, deconstruct it. The Microkernel Pacing of Voice is 2BRO 2B by Kurt Vonnegut Jr. novelette. Kind of cool. Vonnegut, if you've never read him, Kurt Vonnegut was postmodern sci-fi, abstract expressionism, 1950s everything for everybody. If you don't like the word popular, pop sci fiction, if you don't like the word general audience, it's all that good stuff for anybody and everybody, even in high school. So I dig the choice. I've never read that one either. For structural timelines layering, The Iron Heel by Jack London. Month 5, Mechanical Ecology and Biological Systems, Frankenstein. I'd probably swap out Frankenstein because I've read it so many times. And Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Now, why do you need an instructor? This is not all there is to it. You got to know story, grammar, syntax. You got to know vocab. Prose. It's not poetry. Narration. Scenes. Plot. Synopsis. Craft. Methods. You're gonna somehow need to know all this stuff that causes the pen to move forward on a blank piece of paper. And that is the primary function of the MFA equivalent instructor. The student is sitting down in front of a blank piece of paper. You need to teach them something so that the pen begins to move. You're entirely right, and that hits on the exact limitation of trying to do this solo. A reading list is just a pile of books until you actually know how to take them apart. If you don't already know the difference between a scene and a sequel, our syntax mechanics, and we got into mechanics, might need to figure out writing dynamics, alter the pacing of an action beat, or how prose density affects the reader's focus. A book list won't magically teach you. An instructor is a person who hands you the diagnostic tools. To make for instance, I wonder if a high prose density is correlated to reflective or philosophical pieces. You want to maybe teach morals to the reader through philosophy. Could you use high prose density to affect their concentration and focus so that they have to stop reading on the page through the prose density alone to take into consideration the content of your writing? An instructor is a person who hands you the diagnostic tools. You're going to have core craft components like a micro level prose, syntax, and vocabulary. Who doesn't want to learn a lexicon of prose, or how to build a lexicon? Let's build a lexicon of prose for, let's say, high literature, but it's for describing environments. There's all kind of like lexicon crunching stuff. Who doesn't want to learn something like that in an MFA? Like the data scientific portion of preparing to write, you know what I mean? gosh. And like I said, some of this stuff may be unique to you once you type it in AI. You have topographic and structural spatiality and description pros for capturing the physical geometry, mass, and architecture of an environment with razor sharp precision. Pertaining to the small, narrow spaces between things. Application. Dust of ancient manufacturing had settled into the interstitial gaps of the machinery, sealing the dead system in a silt of microplastic. That's interstitial. You have monolithic descriptions, striated, tectonic, cyclopean, liminal. Liminal is a new thing. Textural, material, and olfactory density, friable, vitreous, oleaginous, efflorescence or mephitic, atmospheric luminance and chromatic field. It's architectural kinematics and decay. So let's go with three. Give me 10. Give me 10. Give me 10 words, real quick. For that description lexicon, here are 10 higher register, mechanically precise words for environmental prose, specifically tailored to handle the unique materialities, lighting, and spatial architecture found in high concept science fiction. The 10-word lexicon. Obsidian as an adjective or noun, and these are going to be unique to you. It's a jet black, hard and smooth, resembling volcanic glass. It captures hyper-sterile, light-absorbent alien monoliths, corporate arcologies, or scorched planetary crusts. Penumbral, adjective, pertaining to the partially shaded outer region of a shadow. Now remember, when you're crunching this lexicon, you have adjectives and adverbs. If you don't like the way something, I don't like penumbral because I don't never use that word, so I'm gonna look for an adjective for it. 2 common adjectives list. Why should you do an MFA equivalent? Because it has nothing to do with an MFA. You could do this at home for free. You could do it for $20 an hour. It's the same as tutoring. And then go do your MFA in class. When you're writing high literature, common adjectives aren't banned. They're just used differently. So, chroma and illumination, dark, bright, pale, dim. Like I'm writing something right now called the thin blue veil for describing a bioluminescent blue field that projects outward from electrical wires at night for quantum permanet that the city owns that people use instead of the internet. The thin blue veil.